Well, one man knows all too well the grief the Brown family is feeling. Michael Bell lost his son in a police shooting, and the police were cleared of wrongdoing. He joins me live next to talk about Ferguson and what he thinks about Officer Darren Wilson's side of the story. The shooting death of Michael Brown this summer is reigniting an old debate. When is it okay for police to shoot to kill? And when they do, who should determine if they were justified in firing their gun? In a moment, I'm going to talk to a father who knows the Brown family's pain all too well. His 21-year-old son, Michael Bell, was shot and killed by police in Kenosha, Wisconsin 10 years ago during a traffic stop. The young man was intoxicated. I want you to watch this. It's filed from a report by CNN's Ken Roth.
The officer and Bell walk out of the view of the police dash cam, but you can still hear what's happening. As the scuffle escalates, Bell is handcuffed but still fighting. Then in front of his mother and sister, a distinct sound.
So disturbing. Within 48 hours of that shooting, the Kenosha Police Department cleared themselves of any wrongdoing, ruling the killing as justifiable. Michael's father, retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Michael Bell, joins us now from Chicago. Michael, nice to have you on the show with us. I'm really interested to hear your perspective. After your son was killed, you got the law changed in Wisconsin, so now all police shootings are investigated by an independent panel. If you would, tell us how it's had an impact in your state and what makes this so important.
Well, thank you for having me on your show, and a happy early birthday to you. And I'd like to go right into that.
Thank you very much.
It's very important. It took 10 years. And I've always said that if a blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy can be killed under a spotlight and his father's a retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel and we can't get this law done, then nobody can get it done. And what we did is that we made sure that that the police departments cannot investigate themselves and then take that data they collect and hand it to a DA and allow them to make a decision whether there was fault.
So, Michael, let's focus on what happened in Ferguson. What do you think about the DA in Ferguson running the grand jury in the Michael Brown shooting? I was just reading an article that you wrote for Politico, and you made it clear that you believe it's sort of a conflict of interest.
I was absolutely appalled. I didn't know this in the beginning, but after years of observing this, I recognized that DAs provide cover for police officers, and police officers then make sure that that DA stays in power. Any type of misstep in that relationship, and it affects the DA's electability. I don't think McCulloch should have been in that case at all.
So tell us a little bit more about how the Wisconsin law works, and would it have kept the DA out of the investigation had a similar law been in place in Missouri?
Well, there are three parts to the original law, and we only got the second part passed. But the part that we had passed is this, is that when a department is involved with a loss of life, that investigators, whether they're law enforcement or civilian investigators, they come in, they complete the review, they complete a report, and they hand that report to the DA. The DA makes a decision whether to charge criminal charges or not, and if not, then all the information on, regarding that person's death is given to the family so that the family at least understands what occurred.
So the DA still plays a role then in the process?
It plays a role in the process now. Now, I know that legislators are going to be going back for the additional part, and that is to have an independent review of that information before it's given to the DA. We're trying to provide additional checks and balances.
I want to look over the numbers here, really for both sides, Michael, because it's important to keep this all in perspective. The U.S. doesn't keep reliable data on police shootings, but it does keep count of the number of officers killed each year. And let's take a look here. In 2013, 27 police officers were killed as a result of a felony act. According to an independent watchdog group, in just 3 weeks between the Michael Brown shooting on August 9th and September 1st of this year, police shot and killed 83 in addition to Brown. What does that tell you, Michael?
Well, the first thing that really appalled me was that we don't keep any accurate data. You know, we can keep accurate data on police, on bee populations. We can keep accurate data on how many Asian carp are entering the Great Lakes. But you're telling me that every time a government employee kills a citizen that we don't know about it? And we can legislate a solution, but how can we legislate a solution if we're not aware of the trends? That's what that tells me. It creates an atmosphere of mistrust from the get-go.
And as a country, we don't trust people, agencies to investigate themselves. So what do you think makes it different for police departments, or what is different for police departments?
Well, the problem is as an Air Force pilot, I knew that if I was ever involved in a mishap, I wouldn't want to be reviewed by a librarian, a dentist, a lawyer. I want it to be reviewed by other pilots, and law enforcement feels that it should be reviewed by law enforcement. But the problem is law enforcement has an institutional stake in the process. The third part of our legislation asks for retired people that were familiar with law, like criminal justice professors and so forth, a retired judge, a retired DA, and law enforcement be on this panel to review this because they don't have an institutional stake in the process.
Okay, Michael Bell, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on, sharing your story with us, and please let us know what developments come about with what you're pushing for in your state and really nationally. We appreciate it. And thanks for the birthday wishes.
Thank you. Take care.